So it's morning. It's the morning after. It's the morning after. Yep. And I still have the hangover from the horrific miscarriage of justice by that Delaware judge. She was biased throughout, and it doesn't surprise me at all that she started her career doing legal aid work. This was a social justice decision if I have ever seen one. She starts out her decision by talking about how horrific it is that Elon is paid so much. And she talks later about the amount being paid as being over the top. Seems as if the legal beagles have discovered that maybe the board can submit this compensation back to the shareholders, being certain to use every possible method to fully disclose all the issues at hand per her decision. The board then can also put forward the new compensation plan at the same time, in my opinion, and that vote should do the trick, or it will at least kick the can way down the road. You'll notice if you check out the stock this morning that Tesla's not down even as much as the rest of some of the Magnificent Seven, sitting at about $3.50 down this morning. Now, I will say it interrupted the momentum. Tesla was headed up. It was headed up against the market as the market was tending down. So this definitely has interrupted the momentum, but I think people are beginning to understand this morning that this is something that can be resolved, that Elon Musk is not going anywhere. That's never going to happen, that he's a fighter, and that this would just make him mad and cause him to want to recover the horrible miscarriage of justice. By the way, Holmore's blog also found this. It should have been part of the evidence, in my opinion. I think the judge was so biased that this probably wouldn't have mattered anyway, but listen to this. This is from the New York Times on January 23rd, 2018. Tesla's Elon Musk may have the boldest pay plan in corporate history. If Mr. Musk were somehow to increase the value of Tesla to $650 billion, a figure that many experts would contend is laughably impossible and would make Tesla one of the 5 largest companies in the United States based on current valuations, his stock award would be worth as much as $55 billion, assuming the company does not issue any more shares over the next decade, which is unrealistic. Even reaching several of the milestones would bring him billions. Mr. Musk's critics, and there are many, are likely to contend that the new compensation plan is just the company's latest publicity stunt. He, meaning Elon Musk, has been called a modern day P.T. Barnum who has created the illusion of success while consistently missing production estimates. The company continues to lose money. At one point last year, it was losing almost $500,000 an hour, according to Bloomberg News. Jim Chanos, a short seller who has bet against Tesla shares and has thus been on the losing side of the trade, has contended that Tesla is worthless. Don't you love it? There's never a dull moment at Tesla. By the way, this is Randy Kirk, and later today, Larry Goldberg is going to help me decipher and analyze what the Fed chair had to say and chime in on the Delaware situation. That should be about 1 o'clock California time. Later in the day, around 5 o'clock California time, Jeff Lutz will undoubtedly have plenty to say about the Delaware judge and also about the Fed decision and the rest of the good news as it develops during the day today. Hit the like right now, hit the subscribe, you hit notify so that you can be reminded of all those things, and then buy a Cybertruck. This is the last day at $20. $20 for one, $20 times 2, times 3, however many you want to buy, $20, last chance to buy at that level. And then, of course, I'd love to have you guys join Patreon and help support the channel. So not sure if you've seen this yet, but I think it's well worth taking a look. This is absolutely amazing as we now see Optimus walking along looking so human-like compared to any of the other bots you've seen yet. I think this is the evidence of Tesla's lead, that every aspect of how Tesla operates right now, as Optimus operates right now, is just looking smooth and human-like. And anyway, thought you'd enjoy this as another step up in the Optimus program. All right, let's see here. What else have we got? We have got, of course, so sorry to be fiddle-fuddling around here as I try to find out where I am here in my program. All right, So the 10-year bond yields are back under 4% this morning with another huge dip. Market is getting out ahead of the Fed, who is unlikely to drop interest rates today, but the market's understanding that interest rates are dropping. We had the employment report from ADP this morning. The private sector jobs only rose by 107,000 jobs, slowing from a revised 158,000 last month. This is according to ADP, of course. Economists polled by the Wall Street Journal had expected a slowdown of only 150,000 new jobs. So at 107, this is a big drop. It might be part of the reason that bonds are advancing this morning with the yields coming down. Wages, meanwhile, increased by an average of 5.2%. That is actually an easing on the ADP. Now, 5.2% would still be higher than the Fed wants to see, but this is the highest number you're seeing anywhere. Almost all the other information that's coming in right now shows wages increasing at about a 4% level. Again, still slightly higher than the Fed wants to see, but not crazy, and on the order of a point higher than the Fed is hoping to get to. Trueflation is up this morning. They actually provided a note today about the jump. I hope this is a trend. Trueflation, note, due to a jump in housing caused by data from two of their providers, U.S. CPI spiked year over year by 0.21. I didn't write it down. I think it was about 1.9, roughly 1.9, still under 2%, even after this jump caused by housing, which is one of the largest categories that they look at. So copper, Larry Goldberg is always wanting me to watch copper, is up just over 8% to $3.87 a pound since a multi-month low of $3.56 back in mid-October. So up 8% over about 3 months. Now that's from a very low low. With the economy holding up far better than expected, the market is betting that automakers, consumer goods manufacturers, and other users of the metal will see more demand for their products and have more demand for copper. Plus, with the rate of inflation down sharply from its peak, the Federal Reserve is likely to cut interest rates, while China, a major buyer of copper, is unleashing about $140 billion of monetary stimulus to improve its economy. Now it's time for copper the article is saying this, not me. Now it's time for copper to put up or shut up. The price is approaching a low to mid $3.90, where it has faltered numerous times in recent months. If copper can break out, it would signal that the market is becoming even more confident in the economic outlook. The price could head towards $4.20, a level that was briefly touched in January of last year. Right now, a commodity closely associated with China is testing resistance of a coil developing for the past year, writes Evercore strategist Julian Emanuel. If copper is indeed on a path to over $4, copper mining stocks would benefit. Copper companies have high fixed costs, which can be a problem when copper prices are low and demand is weak. But it also means that rising prices translate into higher profits immediately, all else being equal. And higher demand, and the companies could be set to outperform. Gives a couple of examples of those kind of companies. All right, from Market Watch this morning, this is important. Listen up carefully. The Federal Reserve is not in any race to cut interest rates, even if it opens the door to lowering them in a move toward a more neutral stance on monetary policy, according to BlackRock's Rick Ryder. I still think March is early. Ryder's BlackRock chief investment officer of global fixed income and the head of the firm's global allocation investment team, man, that's a title, said in a phone interview. For the Fed to go to March, I think we need some data to show even more tangible slippage in the economy than we're seeing currently. So he's thinking that regardless of inflation, they need to see some kind of drop in the economy. The U.S. economy has been surprisingly strong. We know about, of course, estimated annual rate 3.3% in the fourth quarter. Other recent economic data have also been solid. Retail sales, employment, etc. While inflation has eased substantially from its 2022 peak, he said the Fed may want to see a few more months of data to gauge whether it's bending down more than today in the cyclical components of the economy. To his thinking, there's not a lot of downside to the Fed being patient and cutting rates. in an economy that's operating at a good level and inflation appears above its 2% target. My sense is you can wait until May, says Ryder. My base case is they go 25 basis points every other meeting starting in May. There's your three drops in the 2024 year. So this is a lot like what I talked about last night with Nicholas Gibbs. We talked about the fact that maybe the Fed is looking at this as the economy is doing fine with these interest rates, and it will do fine going forward unless there's some kind of a break. Of course, it flies in the face of what the Fed has said, that they don't want it to go below 2%. The economy was doing fine 2 years ago with interest rates at 0%. Anyway, federal funds futures pointed to a 39% chance on Tuesday that the Fed will reduce its benchmark rate by 25 basis points in March from its current target range of 5.25. Goldman Sachs Group economist David Miracle said that in a research note dated January 29th that he continues to expect that the Fed will reduce rates in March and the number of cuts will be 5 in 2024. We expect a March cut mainly because progress on inflation is already sufficient, he said. If Fed officials see even modest downside risk to economic activity and the labor market or to inflation, that could also strengthen the case for cutting sooner rather than later. Okay, Powell is scheduled to hold a press conference on the Fed's monetary policy at 2:30, of course, and we will cover that, as I mentioned, about 1 o'clock. That's when we'll post. Okay, where are stocks now? Let's take a look at what is happening. See if Tesla is now down only $2.70. The NASDAQ is down 182. The Dow Jones is up 23. It was up much stronger earlier. And the S&P 500 is down 31.82. The Magnificent Seven are all down, and some of them down big time. NVIDIA down 8. Meta down $6.83. Google down 9.53, Apple down 291. So Tesla right now is down kind of in the same range. Let's take a look at these in percentages. We have got the Dow up 0.09%. The NASDAQ is down 1, S&P down 0.63, Tesla down 1.5%, Apple down 1.5%, Google down 6%, Amazon down 1%. Meta down 1.5%, Microsoft down 0.34%, NVIDIA down 1.26%. So you can kind of see in general, as I mentioned at the beginning, Tesla is down about coincidental with the rest of the market, but this was an interruption and upward momentum that has been caused by this Delaware decision. Probably. I mean, who knows? Maybe people are already over it completely. And then you've got the Cathie Wood stocks are mixed right now as bonds, as I mentioned, are rallying. So let's go ahead and take a look at that rally and see where it is right now. We have got the 10-year down over almost 11 basis points to 3.946 after a big drop yesterday. We are now seeing it heading back down toward that 3.7 range. I was, of course, very surprised to see it go over 4%. I've mentioned that before. We have got the 7-year, also, I mean, all of them. The 2 years down 16 basis points this morning, pulling it closer and closer to being re-inverting. Still sitting at, let's see, 3.946, and it's so hard to do this in my head. It's under 25 basis points in that difference right now. This is where it's been sitting for the last couple of days. That's way down from the 50 basis points that was a spread earlier. We've got the 2-month down only 4 basis points this morning, with a very substantial continuing gap on that particular inversion. Let's take a look at oil, which earlier today was actually heading down a little bit. We have got the oils down only 89 cents, call it $77. Brent is at 82. Natural gas up a little bit, 1.44% this morning, but that's off of very, very low lows. Oil staying awfully good. There was apparently, it's really hard to read this. I read a couple of articles on this. It's really hard to tell. It looks like maybe there's a little kind of a ceasefire in the Red Sea right now. There is a truce, potential 3-point truce opportunity in Gaza. which is, I think, obviously a temporary truce, because Netanyahu is very clear that he's going to continue with his effort against, to wipe out the opposition in the Gaza until it's completely done. But this is a potential short-term truce, and so that is possibly helping the oil this morning. We have gold up $18 though, with the dollar firm. Gold being up to $19 suggests a flight to safety, because it's not going to be a flight to solve inflation. Anyway, hard to call, but it's at 2070, heading back up towards those 21s. Copper is up this morning also. As we mentioned before, copper is having a little run. It's sitting at $3.94. So we'll start watching to see if it breaks through that 4 level. Dollar again holding firm this morning. Bitcoin down again to 42.9. And then, as always, we will go back and see whether Tesla is moving since the last time we checked. Yes, it is moving up smartly. It has been a little bit higher than this morning, but it is now only down $2. So I think we're going to see that this will be a nothing burger in terms of the stock, now only down $1.99. It is moving like this. That's lovely to see. And the rest of the market, the NASDAQ is also trying to go up. We'll see how that works out the rest of this morning. Listen, last night, I had a very good conversation with Nicholas Gibbs. He often brings extremely unique positions to the subjects that all of us are interested in. Last night was certainly a case of that. I recommend you listen to the entire thing, beginning to end. Very, very interesting. I'm going to put up the card. Maybe you watched only 5 minutes of it last time. This time, watch the whole thing. I'm putting the card up right here. And then remember, later today, we've got Larry Goldberg, followed by Jeff Lutz at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, roughly. As you know, those are not exact like the morning show, which I try to get it out at exactly 7:10 California time. All right, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to wrap up and get started with the next step of the process. Hey, as always, have you joined Patreon yet? Have you hit the like button yet? Have you watched your Cybertruck bottle opener yet? Have you, all those things to help support the channel? Subscribe, notify, all those things help support. You get some value out of this channel, help support the channel then. It's been great talking to you.